Hello, everyone. I'm Omkar, founder CEO of Miracle.io. And today it gives me great pleasure to have Dr. Rupali Dhamdere, who is a dynamic and phenomenal principal who has been in education leadership for quite some time. And she has been in education for the past 20 years. And it gives us great joy to have her on our podcast today to share her story, to share her journey, and to share some wisdom and some ideas and experiences from her long and illustrious career. So, before we jump straight into the podcast, a bit about Dr. Damdere. So, she has been described as an inspirational leader, and she has been motivating teachers as well as students to be socially responsible and to maintain a positive and strong, good attitude. And teaching is something that is a very strong and it's a very important social role that people and teachers play. And I think it's a very important factor over here that Dr. Damdere sort of focuses on as well. And of course, since the past 20 years, she has been in the education field, but she also has focused and built her educational background in journalism, communication, as well as, of course, core education from the University of Pune, and also Masters of Science from the University of Sikkim, as well as a PhD in analytical study of teaching pedagogy from the University of Tonga. So you can see that these different parts and pieces coming together and having the impact and having the building the personality of Dr. Damdere, that she is now able to lead an entire social generation of students as well as teachers. And apart from teaching, she also sort of expands her passion for learning and collaborating with workshops, speaking at conferences, contributing on committees, especially on innovation in education. And her research and publications in education strategy are also something that are contributions to the world of education for numerous organizations such as the CBSE board, the Central Board of Education in India. And it's so lovely for us to have Dr. Damdere on this podcast, and we'd love to hear a bit more about the story behind this long and illustrious career. So, Dr. Damdere, I mean, we have these accolades and we have these achievements that we have today, but we'd love to know, where did it all start? How did you decide to be a teacher, and why did you decide to get into the field of education?
Uh, First of all, thank you so much for the very warm, introduction. And yes, getting into education was a conscious decision, wherein I've done 7 to 8 years of banking. I worked with a nationalized bank. So why and how is a different part of the entire story. But I happened to travel to the UK with my husband, and when my elder son was little, and at that point of time, obviously, being a working woman, sitting at home was something a little that could not happen. So I started going to my son's school, and I started helping out there. And I already had a degree in child development and human development from SNDT. So that kind of clicked, and then I knew that this is something that I'd like to do. And numbers, anyways, never fascinated me. So um, I switched. It was a conscious switch from banking to education. And then when we came back to India, then I decided that I needed to do something in this field. So then with my friend, I started with the preschool thing. Then after I had my younger son, then I consciously decided to take education as a full time thing, wherein I started my journey as an assistant teacher in the first school that I went to. And from there, then I grew up to being a teacher in the primary, then the coordinator for the primary, then the teacher in the secondary, then the coordinator for the secondary school, and then moving out to senior secondary, then a principal, and then today as a cluster principal. So it has been a journey. It has, been a learning experience, and I feel more connected to my staff and my teachers even today, because I've experienced each part of this journey. I know what happens there, and what are the difficulties. I'm not saying that if you don't go through these stages, you don't understand. There are so many leaders who are there, and they do understand. But I feel it gives me a better insight and a better connectivity to my staff, because I've been through the journey, and it has been a very enriching journey. And till date, there is not a single day that I have taken leave, or stayed back at home, because every day I look forward to come to work, and every day is a new learning, every day is a new chapter, and every day new experiences. So it is enriching, and I hope I can contribute to this field of education till the moment I last.
Hmm. I think it's a lovely thought to have as a leader, because many people think leadership is about sitting in an ivory tower while everyone else is working for you, right? But I think very few people realize that true leadership, is about having boots on the ground, your own boots on the ground, and being in the trenches with your team, and knowing what they face difficulty with, knowing and understanding what they need support on, and then providing that support and organizing what needs to be organized to provide that support, and then empowering the team so that they can do their best. And I think you have put a very good example over there about how that empathy, especially team member empathy, is very, very crucial for any successful individual or leader, but also a successful organization. So I think it's a very lovely thought that we start this conversation off with. Maybe since you have this very unique background of banking for about 7 years, and then moving to education from there, and as you said, you numbers didn't fascinate you anymore, or maybe they never did. Maybe I'd like to ask you two questions on it. One is, what would you say is similar in banking and education? And second, is the converse question: how is banking, or rather, how is education different from banking?
What is similar in banking and education is, in on both sides, I would say numbers, because when you're into education today, yes, here the numbers are of a different nature. Though when I'm talking about numbers here, it refers to the number of students and the increase in admissions in my school. It refers to the average percentage that my children score in their exam. The numbers here refer to where and how my school scales up higher on the chart of as compared to the other schools. So the numbers are different here. In banking, yes, it is all related to finance. So there the numbers are there, but then those numbers don't fascinate you, because that finance belongs to someone else, and you're just sitting there to calculate it or protect it for them. So, and here when I'm doing this, I feel I'm doing it for my own children and my school. So that's the big difference. The number is the constant factor, but it differs. The definition of numbers differs in both fields.
Hmm. I think that's a very good explanation. Like, having worked in fintech myself, I can truly relate to what you've said, right? That numbers are everywhere, of course, but at the same time, like, what do those numbers mean? And how connected are you to the people behind those numbers? Is it just rows and columns of Excel sheets, or is it actually real lives that are being transformed over the years? So I think it's a very concise but very powerful sort of analogy. Maybe to dive a bit deeper into what you mentioned about numbers in the education sector. So you mentioned about the school performance as compared to other schools or other peers, let's say. What would you say are the most important factors, or most important metrics, let's say, for a school to be considered successful?
Today, you will have a school in every corner, right? And today is not these are not the times where you keep things to yourself and you don't want to share things with others. Today are the times when you really share and you grow as you share. So the basic trick I feel here is, I won't even call it a trick. You deliver what you say. You deliver what you say. You are there for the people who want to converse with you, who want to talk to you, who want to connect with you. So that can be the 3-year-old that walks into your nursery class. That can be the 18-year-old that walks into your grade 12 class. That can be a teacher who's coming to your school, or that can be a parent who's walking into and wanting to talk to you at that moment, though that parent does not have an appointment. That can be a vendor who's wanting to come and talk to you for something they are wanting to share with you, or they've come up with. That can be my admin staff, that can be my support staff. So I think that is something that would connect everyone, and connect all, link all the dots together and make them a family. And when you are there like a family, I think that is what everybody wants. Everyone wants to have that connect today. And as long as you're giving them that connect, you're giving meaning to what they're wanting to say to you. If as long as you're giving them that ear, and you're actually taking out time to listen to each and every one, and also promptly being there to give them solutions. Today is not the time when you make parents wait. You close the doors for them, or you keep asking them. Of course, I do understand that we also have a day which is packed. But then, if you understand each individual, and if you understand the urgency, and if you take those 5 minutes out to meet that person one on one, it can be anybody, like I said. That is what is required today. That personal touch, that personal connect is the key word. That is what is required today. And if you can achieve that, then I think you will set yourself apart from the others.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I think that's great. I think the ability to listen effectively and the ability to be patient in today's fast moving world, I think,
Yes.
is what sets any school or any organization for that matter apart from everyone else. Because at any given point of time, everyone is running after something or the other impatiently. But if we are able to
Exactly.
sort of stop time for a moment, for a few minutes even, those 5 minutes may be insignificant to you, but maybe they might mean a lot to
Exactly.
the person
So
who is
putting
expressing.
putting yourself in someone else's shoes, having that empathy, and looking at that concern. Maybe it is very minuscule to you, but for that person at that moment, it is very, very important. And giving that person that importance, and that space, and that ear for that time is very important. And that definitely does the trick.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And is this empathy driven approach something that you often include in the education strategies that you propose as a cluster principal for Trinity International?
Empathy is the basis of everything. So I consider empathy of utmost importance. A person has to be empathetic to grow, to learn, and to reach higher. If you do not have that empathy, I don't think you can really understand what the person in front is wanting or asking for. And then when you don't understand, then you don't obviously connect, and you would not get the results ever. So empathy is the base. I include and try to include empathy as much as possible, even in my teaching learning processes with my children. I use empathy whenever I am dealing with my teachers. When it comes to teaching, it is maximum women staff, and they, whatever said and done, they face a lot of challenges, and they are in school every day. So trying to understand, trying to read their eyes, and maybe you just have a tap on their shoulder, or you just ask them, how are you doing today morning? And it makes them feel better. So having that little connect and being a little more observant definitely gives you that edge over understanding people.
Hmm. Absolutely. And speaking of teachers, I think I was about to come to that topic, but we naturally arrived there. I think teaching, like we said also at the introduction, that it's a very important social responsibility and a social role that teachers play. At the same time, it's one of the most underrated professions. I think
Sadly,
everyone
yes.
wants to be a doctor, an engineer, an IS officer, a lawyer, chartered accountant, whatever. But there are very few people who want to be teachers, or want to sort of give back to the system that gave to them what they have today.
True.
And what is it that can make teaching as a profession more attractive, according to you?
Teaching, like you rightly said, it is a noble profession, but like teaching was maybe minus 20 years, and as we are today, even the schools don't run like they were earlier. Today, the schools are more of like corporates, wherein yes, you have to have that kind of connect, and you have to deliver at at those points, and only then running a school successfully would make sense. But having it called as a noble profession, yes, today also uh, the teachers do consider themselves that yes, there are a few in number who definitely with choice come to this profession, but sad to say that many of them come to this profession because of they want to have a good balance between their family and working and things like that. But whatever said and done, when they turn to the field, and after a few years, you would see their perspective and their objectives and their personality change. So they don't enter the field because of having that entire thought of noble profession and all that. They do enter the field just because they might think that this kind of field might give me a better work balance, work home balance. But eventually they do get onto it. Having it as a noble profession earlier, the parent body also uh, thought that teaching is a noble profession. But today it is somewhere becoming a little more demanding, and there are expectations that a teacher should be available 24/7, because a parent is working and I may come back at 7 or 7:30, and at that time if I want to connect to the teacher, she should be available to take my call. And uh, at times they're not considered as family people, human beings. And post pandemic it has become that the teacher should be available 24/7. So as the teachers have entered the living rooms of the children, the parents have entered the 24/7 time clock of the teachers. So it is challenging, and we're slowly trying to get out of it, though suddenly weaning ourselves off it is going to be a little difficult. But slowly and steadily we are trying to make sense out of the whole thing to the parents also, and I'm sure we will get back on track with that as well.
Indeed. And I think with the instant nature of communication that technology brings today, it
Yes,
has
yes,
its downsides that, yeah,
it has.
24/7,
It has.
yeah, you need to be available for communication.
True.
I think, on one side, if you look at it from a social angle, you have instant delivery apps or instant delivery
Exactly.
services, let's say,
So
at home.
everything has to be a 2-minute thing. The
Exactly.
patience level has diminished and has become, I think, it is into the minus today. So
Indeed, indeed. I think patience is something that is not in abundance anymore, for
yes, yes.
sure. We have everything, a lot of other things in abundance except for patience, it seems.
Patience is something that we really need to think, build on, to understand, and slowly work on it, because patience does not come to you like that, but it takes time. And uh, I have kind of developed. I'm still working on it, believe me, on my patience levels also. But yes, they need to be built with everybody. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. Where do you see teachers being supported in the best way possible so that they can, let's say, deal with the situation of today a bit better? As I understand, the expectations of parents are high, and why not? Because in the end, their children, they care the most about their children, and they want their children to have the best guidance and support. At the same time, for children to get the best guidance and support, their guides and supporters also need support and guidance so that they can do their job well. So you as an education leader, where do you see the points or areas where teachers can be supported in the best way possible?
The teachers can be supported in the best way possible. Like I said, most of them, 90% of them are women staff. I'm not saying the male, I'm not being gender biased here, but yes, the women generally rule the education sector. Uh, they are, managing so many things and battling an entire schedule before they are here in school. And schools generally start by 7:38, 8:15 max. And the teacher is battling an entire situation at home where she's packing her kids off, maybe she's doing things for her family, and then she is running out to be here in school, and again standing in front of a bunch of 40 curious eyes, and you know waiting for her, and to pounce on with their questions. So she has to shut down from one space and she has to immediately switch on to the next phase. So as a leader, I feel sometimes you need to be a little more understanding, you need to be a little more compassionate towards them. Sometimes like I said, if you look at the teacher and you look at her eyes, and sometimes you do understand that she's been through a rough morning and she's been here. So giving her that kind of space, sometimes they need those leaves, and you need to go out of your way and see how you can support them and comfort them and be there for them. So very tiny things that you can do to show them those gestures that yes, you are supported, you are wanted, you are cared for, and you are loved as well. So, and this is what everyone wants. And that little care, that little gesture, that little acknowledgement, even an eye to eye contact, or, granting her the leave or the day off or the hours off that she wants for that day without any questions asked. I think she understands that,
Mhm.
that she's taken care of. And that I think definitely works.
Indeed, I think giving them the space that they need so that
Yes.
they can
Yes.
be fully focused or fully.
So they
Uh,
also feel that yes, I can do my best, and when they also know that today is the day when the organization or the institute needs me, and I'm going to do it for my institute because my institute cares for me.
mhm. Indeed, indeed. I think that's a great thought, and I think it's a great point for leaders, not just in education but also beyond. Right? I think it's a core
True.
human thing that you
True.
just mentioned about that. All of us as people, regardless of our professions, want to at least feel that there are people around us that care about us, or that give us that autonomy and that space that is required to do well. I think that's a very powerful thought. um, where do you see the role of technology to empower teachers, and how do you see
Technology,
technology sort of
yes.
adding?
Technology is there to stay, definitely. And post pandemic, of course, technology was there earlier also, but post pandemic, it has taken a 10-year leap, I would say. Suddenly, we have, become like Zoom was already always there. We had Google Meet always there. There were so many, all these quizzes, platforms, and all these tools were there for a very, very long time. But a teacher or into education, we really were very comfortable in that blackboard to student kind of mode. And because of that comfort level, nobody really actually bothered to go out and look for these and do something like that with the children. Come pandemic, I would say opportunities, everything comes with an opportunity. And I really look at it as an opportunity wherein the teachers got to learn so much. And yes, there were some challenges because some teachers are not very technical, tech savvy. So it took a little bit of training and a little bit of time and patience for them to understand and get used to that. But however, technology, we call it that, yes, today, we are using so much of it. It definitely is there to stay. I'm not saying it will replace teachers, it won't replace teachers, but it is going to be an add-on. It is going to be an add-on which is going to benefit their teaching and benefit the learning process eventually. So technology is definitely there to help, and it is going to be beneficial today and even the future. Like you are also doing the AR and the VR, these platforms, and children really connect to all these really well, because we see them playing on so many, they're playing these games and other things. So when there is a platform which is giving them that kind of learning through the same techniques and things, so the learning that happens better than what is written in a textbook. Today, a child might not divert to a textbook or not open a textbook on his or her own, but would definitely open an app and go in for it. I am a mother of a 14-year-old, and I for sure know that my 14-year-old would definitely go for an app, then open a textbook on his own and sit down with it. So looking at that, I know that, though as an educator, I would still expect him to open a book, but I know it won't happen. And I have to change my thoughts to understand what he is going in for. So the same way happens to, the education and the technology. We are here to support it. And we cannot move ahead without having incorporating technology in our school and into our education system.
Absolutely. I remembered a very interesting analogy that was given to me by Juan. Juan is an educator in Colombia. He was on our previous podcast last year, season 1 of our podcast, and he gave this very strong, very nice example that technology in education is like the Iron Man suit in the Iron Man movies, right? Like Tony Stark is a regular human being and he can't do things that otherwise, with the Iron Man suit, he's able to do things that he would not be able to do otherwise. So technology in education is exactly that. The Iron Man suit is not going to run by itself. It needs a human to, work with it. But if you empower the human with that suit, that technology, that human can do things that were formerly unimaginable.
True.
And I think that's something that I, as the founder of Miracle.io, also see the role of technology. It's not, I don't think we should even attempt to replace teachers. I think students need that
Yes,
human
yes.
touch. At the
But
same time, how can
there is
we
no
reduce
way
the burden?
moving ahead without technology in the classrooms
Absolutely.
today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, today's generation, Gen Alpha, right? Gen Alpha learned how to communicate with, phones and cameras,
Screens. Yes, yes.
screens before they learn to speak even, right? And I think philosophically that's such a fundamental shift in how we communicate as a species, as a civilization. And I think this is the first generation that sort of was born with technology.
Yeah, so they are the natives of
They're the natives.
technology. Yes.
Exactly. So it has to, there's no other way for sure. But at the same time, like, it doesn't have to be this or that. It can be this and that. I mean, I think it should be that way because I feel like the human touch is very important. You shouldn't replace it. But at the same time, if the human's abilities can be amplified, especially in a time where a lot more is demanded from them, I think that's where technology can play a role to really streamline things, to make life a lot easier for both the educator and the learner and parents and all the other stakeholders in the ecosystem. That's great. It's a very aligned thought that we also sort of see it with.
True.
And maybe as a follow-up question on this, where do you see Trinity International as a cluster principal? I'm sure from what I understand, you look after several schools that may be in different
Yes.
locations, perhaps.
Yes.
So I believe you sort of look at some common challenges that these schools face and
True.
work towards common solutions. So what are some common goals, let's say, you have as a cluster principal for Trinity International in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
Yes, in the next 3 to 5 years, I would definitely want Trinity to be the name on everybody's list when they are listing out the schools. It may be with any branch. I see my children a lot more tech savvy, and I see a lot of technology merging with the learning that is happening in my schools. And technology won't be like something that is done maybe for a class, or for those 30 minutes or something like that. It's an integrated ongoing thing that is seamlessly happening through my curriculum, and it's kind of imbibed in the whole thing. It's there, so it's woven together. So my education, my classes, my learning, along with technology, so it's kind of everything woven together. And then I get a final nice product wherein my child who's moving out of Trinity, anyone who's moving out of Trinity, is that balanced personality who is ready to take the challenges of the world wherever the child can be placed.
I think that's a very powerful thought, right? Like being able to not just be a consumer of technology, but also potentially a user and a creator using
Yes.
that technology in the real world. I think it's a very powerful thought. And of course, the curriculum aligned technology is something that would be would be a goal perhaps, but at the same time not restricted to just what is in the curriculum, but also being able to expand outwards from the boundaries of the curriculum, let's say, into the real world. I think that's something that, from what I understand, is a goal that you're
True.
moving towards in the
Yes.
next few years. It's a very powerful thought, Dr. Rupali. I
Thank you.
really appreciate it. And maybe one last question before we conclude the podcast for today. What is one message, let's say, that you would like to give to other school principals who are listening to this podcast? Because we do have quite a few principals and educators who are listening to this. So, what is the message that you'd like to share with these listeners?
uh, a message, my God, I don't know whether I'm capable or in for giving a message or something like that. But yes, to all my fellow mates, all my friends who are out there into the field of education, I'd like to say that having a human connect with with your entire team, like I said, it can be right from your security to everybody around. So nobody can replace that human connect. So never lose on that. Maybe at times I do understand, because it's sad, but principals are not considered as humans. You know, they are always expected to be, you know, an entire package where whatever comes to them or is thrown at them, they're supposed to be always handling it with ease. But to be very honest, at times they are also humans, and yes, they have their own bad days. But even if we have the bad days, we should not give in to the thoughts that are going. Be a little more patient. Like I said, working on patience is the key. So have your patience. Be calm, because you're calm and composed self, when you're sitting there in the office, or even when you're walking through the corridors, uh, that calmness should spread out to your team and the students around you. The principal coming into your class or walking through the corridors should be fear, but that should be a positive fear. It should not be fear out of oh my God, I'm scared of her. So they should have that openness, that they should know that, yes, I can go and talk to her. But yes, they also know that this is something which I can do, and this is something which she's not going to take it on. So, keeping that balance sometimes, because the position and the title says so, you know, we kind of get carried away and go overboard in disciplining and maybe talking to our staff and our students around. But I always say, keep it simple, and keep calm, and always keep smiling.
Absolutely. I think wonderful message over there. I think I don't know why you said you're not capable. You're very capable of sharing a very strong message. That I think it's excellent. It's beyond. It goes beyond just, like I said, educators. I like to think that principals are like chief everything officers, like CEOs, right?
They are like CEOs today. Yes.
Yeah, that there's so much on their plates and from all sides. At the same time, they have to, keep calm, keep it together, no matter how their day went that morning, that afternoon, or whatever. And just put your heads down and execute and make sure that, you are able to spread positivity and support to the people around you, essentially. I think that's a lovely and wonderful message. Thank you for sharing that, and Dr. Dhamdere. I think it's been a wonderful conversation to hear
Thank you.
about your story, to hear about the approach that you take at Trinity International as a cluster principal, and to hear about what you look forward to in the next few years in the field of education. Thank you very much for taking the time on our podcast today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you.